Hispanic Patriot, a weekly podcast broadcast live from a secret, undisclosed location deep behind enemy lines in Denver, Colorado. Here we speak the truth and nothing but the truth, so help us God. And without further ado, here's the host of the Hispanic Patriot, HugoChavezRey. Give it up for Hugo.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest edition of the Hispanic Patriot. We've got a good show lined up for you tonight. We're going to cover a few topics, and we're going to close out with a funny topic. So we're going to lighten things up towards the end. We've got a lot of local news as well as national news, of course, that's taking place. If you're following the Republican primary, then you know that Donald Trump won New Hampshire last night by double digits. Nikki Haley is stubbornly holding on to continuing to run. But my opinion on that is because she's basically being pushed by the donor class that is funding her campaign. So as long as they keep throwing money at her, I don't see her dropping out. As soon as they stop funding her, I guess maybe that's when she'll drop out. But she's got her own set of scandals that are coming out now with news about affairs that she's had, and I don't like that kind of thing. I mean, that's going to be things that people are going to bring up. Personally, I don't really care about that. That's personal, so we're not going to get into that. But that's kind of what's going on in her world. But she's on the political front. She's basically, for lack of a better term, delusional. She thinks she's got a shot at dethroning President Trump, and the numbers aren't there. I mean, common sense tells you that she's not going to be able to overcome what Trump's done. The next two primaries are in Nevada and South Carolina, and she will lose both of those. And South Carolina is her home state. So, if she stays in after South Carolina, then we know she's definitely delusional. But we'll see. Then Super Tuesday is in March. A lot of things going to break by then, including some of President Trump's legal calendar that's going to break. But I believe God has his hand on President Trump, and things will turn out well for him in all those legal battles. And the Democrats, the left, are going to end up with egg on their face for all of that. So anyway, our first topic tonight is gonna be a little bit about the New Hampshire primary. So we're going to listen to a little bit of President Trump's victory address after winning the New Hampshire primary. So let's roll right into that. We'll have a little bit of a comment because we had Tim Scott, Vivek Ramaswamy was there. Both of them did very well in their support of President Trump, and we'll see in the video. So let's go ahead and roll into that.
All right, here we go. Well, I want to thank everybody. This is a fantastic state. This is a great, great state. You know, we won New Hampshire 3 times now. Three. We win it every time. We win the primary. We win the generals. We've won it, and it's a very, very special place to me. It's very important. If you remember, in 2016, we came here and we needed that win, and we won by 21 points, and it was great. And today, I have to tell you, it was very interesting because I said, wow, what a great victory. But then somebody ran up to the stage all dressed up nicely when it was at 7. But now I just walked up and it's at 14. But she ran up when it was 7. And, you know, we have to do what's good for our party. And she was up and I said, wow, she's doing like a speech like she won. She didn't win, she lost. And you know, last week we had a little bit of a problem, and if you remember, Ron was very upset because she ran up and she pretended she won Iowa. And I looked around, I said, didn't she come in third? Yeah, she came in third. And then I looked at the polls. She was talking about most winnability, who's going to win, and I had one put up. I don't know if you see it, but I have one put up. We've won almost every single poll in the last 3 months against crooked Joe Biden, almost every poll. And she doesn't win those polls. And she doesn't win those. This is not your typical victory speech, but let's not have somebody take a victory when she had a very bad night. She had a very bad night. And you have the now very unpopular governor of this state. This guy, he's got to be on something. I've never seen anybody with energy. He's like hopscotch.
Sununu.
You know, I'm watching this guy, and 2 weeks ago he said, we're going to win in the landslide. We're going to win. About 3 days ago he started saying, well, we want to do well. That's a big difference. But I walked out just now, we're 14 points up, and I don't know what it's going to be. But when she was up here, it was like 6 or 7. And, you know, with like 7% of the vote counted. Now, let me just tell you, we had an unbelievable week last week in Iowa. We set a record. It was the best in the history of the caucus, in the history. And I remember I sort of had the same feeling. I'm up and I'm watching, and I said, she's taking a victory lap. And we beat her so badly, but Ron beat her also. You know, Ron came in second and he left. She came in third and she's still hanging around. The other thing, she only got 25% of the Republican votes. I don't know if you saw that. Tremendous numbers of independents came out because in this state, because you have a governor that doesn't frankly know what the hell he's doing in this state, in the Republican primary, they accept Democrats to vote. In fact, I think they had 4,000 Democrats before October 6th. They already voted. Now, they're only voting because they want to make me look as bad as possible. Because if you remember, we won in 2016. And if you really remember, and if you want to play it straight, we also won in 2020. By more. And we did much better in 2020 than we did in 2016. But as they said, we lost by a whisker, just by a whisker. No. But we can't let that happen. You know, you have to have people that speak up. I said, I can go up and I can say to everybody, oh, thank you for the victory. It's wonderful. Or I can go up and say, who the hell was the imposter that went up on the stage before and like claimed a victory? She did very poorly, actually. She had to win. The governor said, she's going to win, she's going to win, she's going to win. Then she failed badly. Now, I have here, if he promises to do it in a minute or less, but the only person more angry than, let's say me, but I don't get too angry, I get even. The only person, because he was there, and he did fantastically well, by the way, and then he endorsed me. And we don't have to talk about Tim Scott, who, by the way, just got engaged, we have to tell you. And that's more important than all of this stuff. But a man that got to know her very well is Vivek. I said, Vivek, go up and say a few words about it. He has to do it in 1 minute or less, and then we're going to just say, we had one hell of a night tonight. And one other thing, before Vivek comes, do you see that poll? We're going to put it up. We have beaten Biden. You could almost say, who can't? Who the hell can't? The man can't put two sentences together. He can't find the stairs off a stage. Who can't? But Vivek, 1 minute or less. Go do it, Vivek.
This is good.
What we saw tonight is America first defeating America last. That's what we saw tonight. If you want America last, you can go to Joe Biden. You got another candidate still apparently in the Republican primary. cut your Social Security to fork over more money to Ukraine so some kleptocrat can buy a bigger house, go to Nikki Haley. But you know who delivered a double-digit victory tonight? It is a double-digit victory as of right now, is this man, Donald J. Trump, the leader of America First. And that means something. Now, USA and Donald Trump, America First. Now, I got 30 seconds left. I want to make this point here, okay? We got to say this. We got to say this right. What we see right now with her continuing in this race is the ugly underbelly of American politics, where the mega donors are trying to do one thing when we, the people, say another. And it's up to us, we, the people, to at long last say, hell no. We, the people, create a government that is accountable to us. And we, the people, have said tonight, we want, again, as we did in Iowa, Donald J. Trump. And so you want to actually speak truth. That's the truth tonight. And the only thing they're rooting for is an ugly thing that we don't want to see happen. That's what these people are rooting for, is playing to say long enough so the Reid Hoffmans and the ugly Democratic George Soros Jr.'s who are funding the lawsuits against Trump can prop up their puppet. We say no to that vision. I say the general election begins tonight, and this man will win it in a landslide. God bless you, Donald J. Trump. Vote Trump, USA.
Very nice. Wasn't that nice? So this was a great evening, and I want to thank everybody in the audience, and I want to thank the people that are standing behind me. You know, I think we called it right. Immigration's a big deal, a very big deal. We have millions and millions of people flowing into our country illegally. We have no idea who the hell they are. They come from prisons, and they come from mental institutions, and it's just killing our country. And I'm talking about millions and millions and millions. They are drug dealers. They're everybody, and they come in just like walking right through. There's nobody to check, and there's nobody to vet. And we have a man with us tonight, Tom Homan, who is central casting. He's central casting. And I'd like you to say a few words about the border and who's going to solve that problem and how quick are we going to do it, Tom? Go ahead, please.
Look, I worked for 6 presidents down around Reagan, and every president I ever worked for did something to secure the border. But no one did more than President Trump, the most secure border in my lifetime. The most secure border we've ever seen. And Donald Trump's going to do it again. We're going to lock the border down, and we're going to protect Americans. Because what's happening at the border right now, a record number of Americans have died from fentanyl poisoning. A record number of migrants have died. A record number of women and children have been sex trafficked. A record number of known suspected terrorists across the border. There's one man who's proven he can secure the border, and he's standing to my left, Donald J. Trump. He's going to do it again.
Thank you very much, Tom. So this is an evening that I will not forget because it's the 3rd time, but more importantly, I think it's going to be the most important time. We won both. It was, I think somebody said you rarely, if you win both, they've never had a loser. Let me put it that way. When you win Iowa and you win New Hampshire, they've never had a loss. There's never been. So we're not going to be the first, I can tell you. And I just do want to reiterate the polls. We're way up on everybody. We're way up on Biden. And over the last couple of months, if you check, and you have to remember, in 2016, they were saying, oh, what does he know about elections? He's not going to win. He can't win. He can't. Well, we won. And we got millions, and you can check this, and I hope the cameras don't turn off because they hate this, but we got millions and millions of more votes the second time. Right, Mr. Congressman? Millions and millions of more votes. And but we had COVID, and they used COVID to cheat, and they did a lot of other things too. We're not going to let that happen, and that's still going along. We don't forget. You can never forget history, because if you forget, you never recover from it, and you repeat, and we're not going to repeat. We're going to have the greatest election success. We're going to turn our country around.
Hey, let's pause it right here, Peter.
And if you take a look throughout the history of our country.
Okay.
All right. So a little bit about the New Hampshire primary, and that the one thing that's been talked about around the news circuit is that New Hampshire is a state that Nikki was best suited to win. And that's because it's an open primary and the majority of the voters there are either independent and or Democrat. And the fact that she couldn't get it done in that state, I think says a lot for the candidacy and the primary. So you guys, I'd like your thoughts on what you think New Hampshire said and what you think Nikki Haley is doing.
Well, honestly, I think that it was just, a complete rout by any Trump opponents. I mean, I've never really seen in my lifetime pretty much every significant primary contender dropping out and endorsing you. I mean, that's just not what you see every election cycle. It was a fantastic rout, and by Trump's enemies, and now most of them are friends. So Haley, we can see what strategy she's going for, is that she's trying to pick up the dung ball that is the anti-Trump movement and trying to move it. It's not a very, very fulfilling job, clearly, because you could see her on the campaign trail. She's not happy. She's not energetic. She has none of the power that you saw from Donald Trump there of like, look, this is what we're doing. We're keeping this rolling. Like, and what I found really, really amazing is that between the endorsements that were not for Trump in New Hampshire, they were mostly for Ron DeSantis. Haley, I think, got like only a handful of endorsements from incumbent Republicans, and Ron still dropped out. Ron, if he was still in, probably would have taken another second place, and Nikki's position would look more ridiculous. But Ron did the smart thing, both for America and his career, and dropped out, before New Hampshire. And now Haley's left holding the donor bag. I hope it feels good, because it's made everyone realize that she is who she is. She's sort of the fraud of the primary. Every single one has one, and she's just made it to the last point just by sticking it out. And I don't think it's going to do well for her, especially going forward.
Let's be clear. Sununu is a never Trumper. So
Yeah.
The fact that he endorsed her is nothing surprising or earth shattering. I mean, that's what you would expect from a never Trumper. That's who he's part of the group that's pushing her. And
she still couldn't get it done in the state. She had the governor of the state and still couldn't do nothing with it.
Yeah, well, he's not very popular.
Speaking of Nikki Haley, all right, and we're going to be talking about Kari Lake and the Arizona GOP chairman that resigned due to her allegations. I mean, it's all connected, right? So Kari Lake was approached a couple of years ago by the GOP chairman in Arizona, Jeff DeWitt. And you can read these recorded conversations. You hear Jeff DeWitt saying to Kari Lake, hey, what's your number? Well, what do you mean? What's your number to take a break from politics? Because Kari Lake's obviously, she's a staunch Trump supporter. So Deep State was trying to, through the GOP chairman, trying to bribe Kari Lake. And he's like, just give me a big number. Give me something. He's pushing. She's like, I wouldn't do it for $1 billion. Now's the time to fight. The battle is now. We need to keep pushing. Otherwise, this country is going to one world order, new world order, And so that's exactly what I mean, I don't have proof or whatever, but I guarantee you that's what's going on with Nikki Haley. You can see this is going on behind the scenes. We got deep state cronies trying to bribe Republican candidates to drop out or take a pause or take a break, and who knows what else they're doing. I mean, so
you've got the Koch brothers that are that have endorsed Nikki, and they're funneling in a ton of cash, and then along with them, the additional never Trumpers. There's a cabal out there in the Republican Party that don't want Donald Trump under any circumstance, and they're going to try to pull whatever they can, including what we talked about last time from this no labels group that is threatening to run a third-party candidate if Trump is the nominee against Biden. So,
that's exactly why Trump needs to be the guy, because he's not bought, he's not paid for, he's not in anyone's pocket. That's the whole point. And there's a ton of the swamp runs across the aisle.
That's why they hate him.
Yeah.
So on this clip that we're going to be playing for the bribe, let's make sure we jump to the 624 mark on that clip. That's where the discussion begins with about the bribery situation. So make sure you start it at the 624 mark.
Okay, stand by.
One thing I would like to see, though, is
we're gonna go a little bit before. Hang on. All right. Here we go.
Post-millennial. Arizona GOP chair tried to bribe Kari Lake to not run for Senate. Leaked audio. He told Lake people were willing to put their money where their mouth is. I mean, the audio from this is absolutely nuts. He says things like, very powerful people don't want you to run. Quote, there are very powerful people who want to keep you out, he told Lake in a conversation last March. Jeff DeWitt told her that the people were willing to put their money where their mouth is. This is about defeating Trump. And I think that's a bad thing for our country, she replied. These people are corrupt. It's about control. After Lake asked what the powerful people wanted from her, he said, they want you to stay out for 2 years. I'll tell you what I can offer you. DeWitt continued, saying that there were companies that could, quote, just put her on the payroll to keep her out of the Senate race in the state. When Lake pushed back against the idea, DeWitt asked, just say, is there a number at which? Lake cut in saying, I can be bought? That's what it's about. After insisting to Lake that she could have a bigger voice in politics and to take the offer of the bribe, Lake said that doing so would be immoral and she wouldn't be able to look at herself in the mirror the same. DeWitt insisted that Lake not tell anyone the conversation happened. Now, it's a 10-minute recording. I don't want to play everything, but I do want to play the end part where he fears assassination. But I also want to point out, in it, he mentions, you can be a big personality. You can be a big voice. It is about defeating Donald Trump. That's why they want her out for 2 years. They want Trump to lose. After that, then you can do whatever you want. Let me play the last portion of this, and you can hear it for yourself. This stuff's wild. And okay, let me refresh because X video always does that. And let's try again.
What's about DeSantis, getting DeSantis in? Getting DeSantis is getting Trump out.
You're reading too deep into it.
Well, let's see what happens. Maybe my case will go through. Maybe they'll do the right thing.
I hope so.
I do too. That's my first goal. Yeah. But they can't have me in the governor's office because then we're going to root out some of this corruption.
But again, it's like...
You know what it is? The people don't get to choose their elected officials unless they're pre-approved by the swamp. And the swamp doesn't pre-approve of me.
You need a strong party to help.
I think you should go public with this and then say, hey,
no.
These people don't want to, they don't want,
then I turn my key in my car and I
No.
I like my car.
Then I turn my key in my car and it goes. Very powerful people sent this man to bribe Kari Lake into dropping out because they want their pre-approved candidates to be put in place and they were going to pay her off so that she would stop trying. And this man says if he goes public, they will kill him with a car bomb. Now, maybe he doesn't literally mean car bomb, but no. Then I turn my key in my car and I think the implication is very, very obvious. Who are these powerful people? Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you guys. We've been swatted several times. I know there are crazy people out there. People ask me if I'm ever concerned about my safety, and I always say I'm less concerned with Antifa than I am with the crazy man who thinks I broke into his house to steal all of his spoons. Crazy people see you and they say crazy things. I don't know anyone that I fear
in the immediate would try to kill me, and I don't know if anyone else here or anyone's been on the show would in the immediate say someone will kill me if I do a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is a guy who's saying, if I take this action, they will kill me. He knows who they are. He knows the powerful people that have put him up to this. He knows them. Someone sent him there. And he thinks, if I cross them, they'll kill me. Who's he working with?
Well, it's crazy. You know, it's fascinating because we hear about, you know, the deep state, the swamp, all these things. We hear about these kind of conversations taking place in politics. And then here we are, we get a firsthand, you know, listen to this. And so it's one thing to hear about it. I think it's totally different when you actually listen to the video and you hear that. It kind of put it in a new context for me, and I'm sure many others out there as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's only breeding more distrust in the system that's already there. And I think in some ways, the political theater has gotten so dramatic that people really equate it to what was that show that had Frank on it, and and like all these DC sort of not like dramedies
House
where
of
it's
Cards,
like House of Cards. Thank you. They think anything could happen, but then things like this come out and they say, "Oh,
it's all real.
It's all real."
Yeah.
And I think that's ultimately plays into sort of this elite group's power, right? They want you to be scared.
Well,
and nobody ever came here and offered me a bunch of money for any of this stuff. What's going on?
If this is what's going on, then we have a situation in American politics that is a real problem. This is what we see in Russia. We see this kind of thing in Ukraine. We see this kind of thing where people are just taken out. You never hear from them again in China. If we have a situation where we have political operatives operating behind the scenes to take people out if they do a misstep, then I think most Americans would not be prepared for that reality.
It sounds like Kari Lake recorded this because of the volume of her voice and the volume of Jeff's voice. I'm wondering why it is it took this long for it to get released.
You know, maybe she just now felt comfortable doing it. I don't know, but it's crazy too because this is Kari Lake. This isn't some no-name politician. So the fact that they felt comfortable enough to go to someone like Kari Lake and have that conversation, what are they doing to other people that's just coming in
desperate
DC?
Enough?
Yeah, desperate enough. That's a good point.
That's why I was saying in the intro to the show tonight, Civil War. Oh, you better be careful because I'm gonna say that a lot tonight with what's going on. They're so panicked and desperate over what Kari Lake represents. She is America First. She is like Trump. And they're probably thinking, we nip this in the bud now. Because if she actually advances politically in this country, we are dealing with Trump once again. This time, I'll be completely honest, Kari Lake is a bit more, what's the right word? Orthodox? I mean,
a little more poised, maybe?
Poised is maybe the right word. Trump is a brash celebrity character, and they find ways to use that to make him look bad. But Kari Lake has decades of television experience, and she comes off like top tier, political, high level, like poised, I suppose is probably the best way to put it. That is something they will struggle with. Mm-hmm. If she is running for higher office, if she is succeeding, if she's in the Senate, they're not going to be able to stop her. Trump gives them some ammunition sometimes, and they're going as dirty as possible. Right now, we know what comes next for Kari Lake. Because in conspiracy world, it goes like this. The first thing they do is they ask you to play ball. Hey, we really like what you're doing. Why don't you come work with us? And then you say, no, I'm not interested. I don't like what you do. Then they offer you money. Okay. Hey, I got this really great opportunity. Why don't you take this job in this other place? When you refuse the money, the next step is the threats. The next thing that happens is maybe there's a car accident. A family member has an unfortunate turn, and we would hate for that to happen. In the conspiracy world, typically it goes with recruitment, failure, bribery, failure, threats of violence, and assassination. And we've talked about that book, was it Confessions of an Economic Hitman? Where he talks about on the larger scale, basically you go to a country, you say, you are now part of our machine and our empire. And if they say no, then you offer them a bunch of money and say, hey, we'll give you all these things. They say no. Then you stage a coup and remove them from power and install someone who will do what you want them to do.
It's like that Monty Python sketch. when he's like, when they're like, "Oh, it's a nice
Now,
country you've got here. It'd be
Stalin.
a shame something happened to it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine with the release of this audio and the man being recorded saying, effectively, they will kill him. Kari Lake, man, she needs to she got to hire some security for her family.
Well, if they weren't scared of her before, I'm sure they are now. Because I mean, she says in the audio, like, "You're going to have to kill me. You're not going to buy me. You're not going to pay me off." And so she stood up to this. And so I think if they weren't scared of her before, they probably definitely are now.
I fear they will. I mean, look, the sheer desperation we are seeing from the political elites in this country is not beyond any of that right now. Look, it is allegedly a conspiracy theory that Epstein killed himself. What I mean is the mainstream media purports that not a single real person in this country believes Epstein killed himself.
That interview with his brother was really pretty shocking.
The best line ever came from Chris Reagan, YouTube personality. After it happened, he said he got into an Uber, and the first thing that happens is the driver turns around and goes, "Yo, that guy didn't kill himself." Nobody believes it. Epstein himself and his story was a conspiracy theory.
All right. That's some crazy stuff, man. I don't know about y'all, but this is stuff of a movie script. And
yeah, Kari Lake for president 2028.
well,
she's on the VP ticket.
She's on the VP short list, from what I understand.
That'd be something, yeah.
That'd be awesome.
I got to meet her.
Talk about integrity right there.
I met her at the GOP dinner here a couple months ago, and she's a great lady. She's a fighter. I believe her gubernatorial election was stolen from her in Arizona.
Yeah,
and the fight in her is strong, and she's a strong Trump supporter. So it wouldn't at all the senator seat. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But this story is going to grow legs, and people are going to start really focusing in on what's going on. With
they have the recorded
they have to with everything going
phone
on.
call. Like this isn't fake news.
Yeah.
This is a recorded phone call. So throw me that fake news line and I'll throw it right back at you.
That's what they're going to do, right? They're going to try to memory hole it and pretend it never happened, just like what they do with all political corruption. I mean, I'm from Chicago. I saw political corruption on that level firsthand all the time. And I think what people have to understand about politics, von Clausewitz said that war is a continuation of politics by other means. Well, politics in a lot of ways is a lot like war. It's you need discipline in order to win it. And people get extremely mafia-like. There's a lot of similarities between militaries, political machines, and mafias, sports teams, anything like this. They're very, very similar. And if they'll try to bribe you, they try to buy you, and taking you off the table is absolutely part of it. I think it's very fitting that the chairman is named DeWitt, because again, I bring this up just because to me it's what every politician should know. Is the DeWitt brothers from the Netherlands. They pissed off their people so bad that they killed and ate them in the Netherlands in the 1600s. Civilized Christian people. That's how angry they were. So there's a famous painting of it. And I would have that in my office if I got elected any kind of political office. Like, this is what the people historically can do to you. So be grateful that it's a car bomb and not you getting made into kebabs, man. Like, you can die in politics. We saw in domestically, someone that passed away, that was killed by Antifa in Denver, Lee Keltner. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. You can die in politics, 100%.
Well,
Absolutely.
JFK. I mean, since those FBI files were released, the autopsy reports, the testimonies of the physicians that did his autopsy.
We'll
now
know all the truth very soon.
Starting to come out, saying, "Look, two gunshot wounds from opposite directions." I mean, it's all coming to the light.
And my generation says, just admit it. Just admit it already. Right. We already know what you did in the past. We know, whatever, the liberals believed that, if you believe the liberals, we killed, 40 million natives and 80 million black people or whatever they say. So what would admitting that, you might have killed this guy or this president or whatever, what would that really do for these woke people if they would just admit it. The people who run the government, who believe in all this stuff. We know it's not consistent. We know it's not real. And we know Kari Lake is absolutely an integrity-driven person, just like Trump is. And I'm glad that she released it, because she was waiting for people for the election to say, hey, I think that's at least why I think she waited to release this is for the election, to say, people, it's time to wake up. This is what they're doing, and they're well into our party. It's not like a Democrat went up to her and did this. This is the chairman of the party. This is, so we really got to wake up and say, hey, just because you're a Republican just does not mean you're immediately an ally. None of this, oh, you're a divider. Well, you know what? It's time to divide the wheat from the chaff. It really is.
There's plenty of places to bury people in Arizona.
Well, and yeah, I mean, this stuff, it always happens. If you look at communist countries like China, Russia, Soviet Union, Stalin, Mao, Kim from North Korea, they slaughtered their political opponents. The only reason why they can't get away with that in the open in this country is because of the Constitution. And that's why Biden, specifically Obama, I mean, he's this is really his third term. They want to burn the Constitution to demolish the safeguards that keep it. So it's not hard totalitarianism. It's called soft totalitarianism. And it has to come in by way of ideology, of brainwashing, of
and
lies.
The media, of course. The media also controls all of that.
Exactly. And that's the thing that baffles me is like all of the evidence since 2020 it's insurmountable at this point. The records that Musk let loose about the Twitter files and everything going on there. I mean, it's so obvious that this deep state, the cabal that exists and has for decades, have their fingers in all this stuff. It's like to deny it at this point.
Well, and
you're just sticking your head in the sand.
We used to have differences between the United States and the way we were corrupt and the way these other countries were corrupt, like China or Russia. Russia has this very famous line where it says, well, you're young, you don't want to ruin your career. You'll have plenty of other chances. That's sort of their word for it. In China, there's another phrase I forget right now. Basically, it means you better stop what you're doing. We have that now in America, and we didn't used to. But if people want to read history, read about Tammany Hall. Read about what the New York Democrats did after the Civil War and what they did with exploiting immigrants, which is exactly what they're doing now. They're just repeating history, and it's time that we unveil that in all ways. Right. And when Donald Trump gets back, he promised to declassify a lot and to, open the treasure trove of truth. And that's another reason I think people should vote for him. Joe Biden's not going to declassify anything.
Right.
Y'all know that. Unless it's under his
he doesn't want to go to jail
fire,
for the last 3
exactly.
years of his life. Anyways,
it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I did talk to someone not too long ago who was liberal and they're saying how, Trump's a crook and all the fake news and this and that. It's hard for me to understand how people can still call this fake news when it's coming from so many different directions. It's coming from independent, like we're not mainstream media. Forget it. I don't even trust Fox News anymore. They just go wherever the weather's, whichever the way the wind's blowing, that's where Fox News.
They buried the Hunter Biden laptop story and labeled it misinformation during the 2020
state-run media. I mean,
that was there have been polls already conducted on that said that had the electorate believed the Hunter Biden laptop.
Knew it was true.
And knew it was true, that it would have swung at least 15% of the votes, which means Trump would have won handily. And I still believe he won, but it wouldn't have been a question mark.
Now, when this stuff comes up, you got to think back to January 6th. You got to think back to who instigated, who sparked the fire. This is all very sneaky, underhanded warfare played out by very intelligent and very powerful people. So you have to kind of look at it through these lenses now. It's like, it's blowing the lid off of all this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and I wish people would have read history beforehand. People would learn this is hundreds of years old. maybe thousands of years old of how we've been doing this in politics and in society. People should not be surprised. That's one thing.
Well, it goes back to the beginning. I mean,
exactly.
kings,
That's one
it's
thing
all-
that I don't understand when people, who are making this content and they say, "Man, I can't believe this." It's like, well, welcome to just paying attention now. This has been going on so long. Hugo, I'm sure you have a lot of experience watching the progression of that. Peter, you as well. People who are just now getting into it, they can't believe it. Some of those liberals that, I can't believe this. But
Yep.
they're going to believe. We're going to make sure of that because it's the truth.
All right. So now I want to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk a little bit about Moms for America. That's a very conservative group that has sprung up in the last year to fight against the woke culture in the schools. And there was this very interesting exchange. Joy Reid from, I think it's CNBC or PMSNBC, what I call it.
MSNBC.
But she is as dumb as a box of rocks. That's the best thing I can say about her. But she had this exchange with the leader of Moms for America, and I want to tune in a little bit to that exchange, and then we'll have a little bit of commentary on that. But let's switch over there to what I call Mama Bear.
All right. This guy right here, you want to start right here? 27 seconds?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and see what we got here. We may need to move.
This video is brought to you by TatumStore.com. TatumStore.com. Get the link in the description section. Like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell to get notification. Anytime I go live, make a video, y'all already know what to do. Let's get into this. Oh my gosh. Y'all listen to me. I was sent the video. I watched the first 30 seconds of the video, and I said, I have to make this video. I am blown away at how this beatdown happened. I can't, I'm dumbfounded. Somebody at Joy Reid's news station didn't do homework at all. They put the wrong woman up here because this right here should end Joy Reid's career forever. Nobody would ever listen to her again. This woman must have hit her with a combination of punches, and they were devastating. And I'm talking about figuratively, right? YouTube. But y'all gotta watch this. I want to give this lady a hug. I want to donate $1 million to her. She was so good because these leftist lunatics put out a narrative, but they never get challenged on the narrative, and people aren't bold enough to come on the show and just. But that's what happened. Without me running my mouth, put your seatbelt on. This is finna get crazy. Roll the clip.
The question I'm asking is, what is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that an award-winning book like All Boys Aren't Blue isn't appropriate for students to read? What is your expertise?
What a tragic story of a young man who's anally raped by his adult family member. So you have incest, rape, pedophilia. Joy, you said you'd let me answer, so I'm going to answer
Please
for
do.
you. In what context is a strap-on dildo acceptable for public school? That's my question to you. Tell me what the context around the strap-on dildo or the rape of a minor child by a teacher.
Hold on a second.
No, we're talking about public school.
One.
Oh, that's too much, bro. That's too much for me. God dang. How's she gonna answer that? Man, who is Mom of Liberty? God dang.
Oh, man.
All right.
So now you've asked me questions.
Sure.
I'm gonna answer it.
Okay.
Well, who is the main character? What's the name of the main character in All Boys Aren't Blue?
You're asking me right now.
You just gave me very specific information about this book, so you're presenting yourself as somebody expert.
It's the gentleman.
Hold on. Who's the main character in the book?
The main character is the author.
What's his name?
George, I believe, is his first name.
Because you're giving me very specific information that is.
What? Don't try to. Y'all, check this out. I'm gonna play the video, but this is what they do. People do me like this all the time in debates. When I would debate black conservatives that are black first, they always have this idea of Marcus Garvey or something, some obscure person that is irrelevant in real black history, and they'll ask you a question about him that and then they think they want to debate. It's like, Bro, you asked me some question about some obscure fact somewhere that I need to actually do some research to verify if you even telling me the truth. This is what she's doing. Who's the character? What the hell they got to do with strap-ons and stuff?
You're asking me to remember the name of an author.
You
the
just
name of the
remembered
author
very
doesn't
specific things.
Joy.
Here's my
We're
question.
talking about
Here's my
strap. You
question.
didn't answer my
No.
question.
I'm going to answer your
Great.
question.
I would love to hear that.
Absolutely. Well, I'm interviewing you and you're not interviewing me. So let's just make sure it's a conversation.
Whoa.
Okay? So what I'm saying to you is that as you are not an expert in this book,
I don't
or
have to be an expert to know that
hold on a
dildos
second.
aren't
One
appropriate
moment,
for public
one moment.
school. I mean, come
this
on, let's get
book
real.
is a full context story, as you said, of the author's experience. Why is it your right or a Moms for Liberty activist's right to say that a parent who wants their child to have access to this book, which gives a personal experience of this author, why doesn't a liberal parent, for instance, or a parent of an LGBTQ kid, why don't they have a right for their child to just have access to this book? Why is it your right to say they can't?
So again, we're talking about incest, rape, and pedophilia.
And
Joy,
each parent, each parent has to decide what is appropriate for their child to read. So I want you to answer. I'm going to ask you one more time. What is your right to tell a parent who wants their child, who might feel seen by this story, why don't they have the right? Why don't they have the right as a parent to say, my child can have access to this book?
If a child feels seen by this story, that means that they have been the victim of a predator. That means that they have either been raped by a family member, they've experienced
and your proof of that is what?
You just said that
What's
if a child feels seen by this story. What I'm saying, Joy,
you're now making assumptions about it.
Joy, but if a child has been raped, we should do a lot better than put a book on a library
You're literally
shelf.
creating a story.
This is why I can't stand
I
journalists.
wanted to talk. She made a point. If you feel seen by a story of, think about this. If they had a story, and I'm going to play the clip, I promise y'all. If they had a story about a kid living in Paradise Valley, Arizona, in a multi-million-dollar house, and all he did was eat caviar and filet mignon every day, and they present that book in the school, and I feel seen by that book. If I feel seen, that means I have a connection with the experience. And that's exactly what she's saying. If a kid feels seen by a person that essentially has been abused by a predator, there's more to a book is not the solution of having a kid relive trauma through reading a mandatory book in school. They probably should see counseling and never have that exposure to something like that again outside of a professional help. That's what she's saying. But Joy can't answer, so she got to keep doing what she's doing.
Behind a child that you don't know. Let me show you a form. This is a form that can be obtained in Broward County, Florida. Okay. I'm going to show it to the audience, and then I'm going to show it to you. Okay. This is called the opt. Yeah, please. I'm going to hand it to you. So it's called the opt-out form.
Okay.
An opt-out form would allow any parent, because you said you are in favor of parental rights.
I am.
It would allow any parent to opt out of their child being able to take books out of the library without their parents' permission.
Okay.
So that Moms for Liberty, why not advocate that every school in America have an opt-out form so that a parent who doesn't want their child to access a book like All Boys Aren't Blue, that they can make that choice? Because then each parent, including a liberal parent, a black parent, a parent who wants their child to read a book about African-American history, then they get their rights.
We want children to read books.
Why not just opt out for yourself rather than tell other parents what they can and cannot?
First of all, I think what you're talking about here is a wonderful step in the right direction. We should be having conversations about this. This is about local control. A lot of these decisions are made at the local school board level. And that's where these decisions should be made. And there should be vibrant conversations about what's happening in our public schools and what kids have access to. Joy, however, maybe we could just put all the books with all the graphic sexual content, the dildos, the rape, the incest.
I'm sorry.
Let's do
I'm so sorry.
Let's do a back room.
Excuse me.
Let's put a curtain up in the library
First of
like
all,
they used
hold
to
on.
do.
One moment.
Video
One moment.
stores. Remember when we were little and you would go to the video store?
The books that Moms for
and they
Liberty.
put those
The books that Moms for
videos
Liberty.
with pornography.
I know that you. I've seen.
We could just do that.
I have
frustrating.
seen of what Moms for Liberty does.
Let's pause here.
Bring on the show and then talk over. It's these people are nuts.
And you want.
Okay, so this is to demonstrate that the mentality of the left and the people who want to promote everything from what do you call transvestites and others
There's general confusion
transgender
and disorder and degeneracy.
and the what's the group that wants to read to the kids?
Those are the drag queen story hour.
The drag queen story. Yeah. So this is their pushback is, well, who are you to tell, what's appropriate and what's not appropriate? Yeah. Okay. Who are you to tell us what's appropriate and what's not appropriate? This is insanity in full swing in our public education. And you've got, I'm sorry, morons like Joy Reid trying to defend this kind of nonsense being taught in the schools. And I don't care about an opt-out form. I don't care. This stuff does not belong in public school. It doesn't belong
it's a
in
push
any
to
school.
normalize. It's a push to normalize. But let's cut through all the BS and go straight to the top. This is part of the communist agenda to cripple and take over our country. This is all, it's a war, an ideological war. This is clearly dark and evil stuff that we're dealing with here. I mean, so that the flower that we're seeing of the plant, the blossom, is this transgender and all this stuff. I mean, it's clearly like it has no place. It's a grooming, obviously, and to normalize kids in this nature. I was watching this YouTube girl. I can't remember the name. Forgive me. It's been a couple weeks, but this girl who has a YouTube channel where she plays like a Sesame Street thing, but it's a LGBTQ, and she sings songs about how kink is okay for kids. And, it's okay. She does TED Talks. I mean, this is crazy psychological, ideological warfare that's going on. And it goes all the way to the top. Right.
It's been built up for years and years as well. Like one thing that, because I have probably the closest connection to being back in school and everything. I still remember this back in my high school when this was just getting started when I was in high school, 2008, 2002, and something like that during the Obama years. And being one of the only political people on my side, I dealt with a lot with the LGBT people, the Gay Straight Alliance in my school and everything. And back in those days, they really were headed by, at least on the young side, pretty reasonable people that say, yeah, we just want civil marriages and we want our love to be respected if it's real. Okay, some reasonable stuff. But then you got these psychological tinkerers that got involved in this. And they took things over like they do in politics and everything else. And they really started to abuse and use the, what grew into be the LGBT community. And that's what I saw growing up constantly, is these weirdos being of the, not even of the community, completely different communities, scientific, psychological, all of this, being brought into these spaces. Oh, and you're like us, we're like you. Unless, like you said, Peter, the grooming and manipulation, I see it both from the inside of that community and the outside. Because that's what when I grew up, that's what I saw, is these people were being manipulated from a very early age. And it was extraordinarily unfair because a lot of them are absolutely fantastic people. And we see what these people think of them. According to Joy Reid, these people are, worthy of this book, I guess. I think they're a little bit worthy of other things, greater, higher things. That's what we all strive for. I'm tired of this sort of beating down of people who already are beaten down. We're here to uplift people. And that's why I don't think any LGBT people should feel unsafe or outside in the Republican Party.
No, but and you're right. However, here's the line: is kids 18, adults should be free.
There.
Adults should be free to do what they want, but you have to have limits. And people say, "Oh, don't push your morals and your ideologies on me." It's like, okay, well, look, the way I see it, you're going to have religion in government and politics, whether you worship God or you worship Baal or you worship Molech or you worship yourself or whatever. I mean, if you go to these, you look at the LGBTQ parades and stuff, if it was just, gay people, hey, we want to have free, right on. But we're talking about grown ass men coming out in thongs and bondage.
They're using it. They're abusing it.
And people bringing kids. And it's like, dude, where are we going to draw the line? So the next step is let's eat our young. I mean, is it okay to then, if a kid consents, is it okay to I mean, come on, where are we drawing the
Well,
line?
that's part of NAMBLA. They believe that
That it's totally fine.
that it's totally fine, and that an adult should be able to have sex with a child, and as long as the child is consenting, like a child can consent.
It's unbelievable.
That's the movement. So
Well, who
anyway,
are we to tell that? We're not experts. We have hearts.
We're not.
I mean, we
God
have
in it.
laws and order in place for a reason. And I'm sorry, I draw the line at kids. I draw the line at grooming.
Absolutely.
I pulled my kid from public school. I mean, I trust my son to go and, but I don't want.
I went to public school. I think you made the right decision. You made
At
the right
this
decision.
point, at this point in the game, I hope that the public school system's turned around, and I believe they will. I believe they will, because there's plenty of Democrat parents coming up against this stuff. I mean, I believe the majority of the American people are opposed to this type of stuff. It's a loud minority, and I don't care what call it NPC or whatever, but kids.
The bottom line of all this is common sense is the least common of all the senses.
Right.
That's
Especially on MSNBC.
Yeah, but I still do believe the majority of Americans, they're not for this. They just aren't.
Let's jump over to our I guess lighter fare
Nice little close
for the night.
Well, here and I'm gonna just put a preeminent here. Let's not bash or dishonor anyone. So, regardless of this poor girl,
this is not about bashing. This is about just looking at something that is quite.
Okay, what time stamp?
I want to let it speak for itself. Let's start it and see where we go from here.
What time stamp? Right here.
I think where are we at?
We're at 2:18. Let's just see where this goes.
Yeah, I think
racialized her. Yeah, sorry. What do you say, misgender? What would you call this? Racialized. Yeah. So honest mistake. I'm Negro. We make mistakes all the time. Hey man, shut up. Yeah, man, I date her. Hey man, but we have so much in common. She think Negroes violent too.
Back it up a little bit. To keep going. I'll tell you where. Right there.
That I'm white. I can feel it through my veins. I feel it through my blood. I tell my mom I'll never be like any of those Negroes. My mom tries to criticize me about my supposed race. I tell her she's just ignorant.
Man, this is the type of black girl I would date. I feel your pain, bitch.
The real life female.
It's not real, right?
No sense.
Is that a joke?
Don't generalize.
It's not Dr. Phil. So
you're talking about that volcano. No, because not all black people generalize white cops. So it gives you the right to generalize black people. Gives me the right to generalize them. It's only fair. Freedom of speech. I didn't make the rules. You see that picture? She's photogenic. Yeah, I date that black girl. Like it was this picture. She was to the side.
Is she for real?
Gap action right there.
like
that gap action. Like that gap. See right there.
It's her legit.
She's photogenic, man. Oh man, she can get it.
Okay, so she's identifying as a white person?
Yes.
Okay, hang on. We got to go back because this is...
it's at the beginning. It's fantastic.
Got a damn good show. Damn good show. Yeah. Damn good show. Hey, this is my kind of black girl right here. Check out. Yeah. She's on Dr. Phil.
I know a lot of people take issue with my beliefs. I'm white. I'm a Caucasian because everything about me is different from an African American. I have naturally straight hair. My hair isn't nappy. It doesn't require weave. My nose is not giant as like African Americans. My lips are perfect. They're not too big and they're not too small. Like they're just perfect. My ears, I don't have black people ears because they're really giant. Most African Americans speak ghetto. I'm different from African Americans because I'm white. My figure is just like Kim Kardashian, and she's a wonderful role model. I act and I think like a white person instead of a black person. When I think about African Americans, I feel like asking them, what is wrong with them? They're really dangerous. If an African American is on the same street as I am, I'll cross the street to avoid their chaotic, thuggish ways.
Are you okay?
I'm irritated.
I'm sorry.
I just know that I'm white. I mean, she might not know that I'm white, but I know that I'm white. I can feel it through my veins. I feel it through my blood. I tell my mom I'll never be like any of those Negroes. My mom tries to criticize me about my supposed race. I tell her she's just ignorant.
And this is the type of black girl I would date.
That's just funny, man.
I think it's sad. Like
It is, but like
you got to think about like there's a spirit of just insanity on this country right now. Like it's insane. It's insanity.
What I want to know is why didn't she consider being Mexican? Huh? What was wrong with being Hispanic? Why she either got to feel like she's white or black? You know?
No, I mean honestly,
we're always
feel
left
sorry
out of this
for
sort
her.
of thing. You know?
We don't know the history.
But we pray for her, dude. Dude, Jesus loves her, and
I'm sure she's fine now. She's not Dr. Phil.
Absolutely. I just thought it was.
But people are waking up, though. That's the thing. Like people, like, I mean, this grieves my heart. The fact, like, watch D-Trans and all these documentaries on this stuff. We got to fight. We got to fight these
brothers are good. These brothers are good Christians. They're not trying to bash her. They're just trying to show the ridiculous.
They're funny. They're real street. I mean, that's just what it is. Anyone who grew up with that kind of mentality, they see that's real. I know I do.
Yep. So anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. But well, it's been a good show. We got some good information tonight. I think I'm going to be looking to get the Moms for Liberty on the show here soon because they're doing some good work and we need to promote it. Now we've got some things coming up. I did send you guys an invitation for that event in February. If you're available, I would encourage you to try to attend because they're going to have the CD4 and the CD8 candidates present, and be a good opportunity to network and meet a lot of different people. So it'd be a fun event. So if you're able, I'd encourage you. I'm going to go, but I'd like you guys to go if you're available. So anyway, that's it for tonight. We had to move the show up tonight for those that are normally interested on Thursdays because of a scheduling conflict for me tomorrow. But next week we'll resume back on Thursday, and we'll have some more great information and topics. Again, visit our website, www.HispanicPatriot.com. Go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, follow us on X, and help us get our audience up. And please give us some feedback. We're interested in whatever you're thinking out there. And if you've got a topic you'd like for us to cover, give it to us on the website. There's a form that you can give us feedback on, and we'll be happy to oblige, because this show is not about us, it's about you. And we want to get information out to you that is relevant, and we want to know what you want to hear about. So thank you all for tuning in tonight. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Nick. We're looking forward to another great show next week. And we'll sign off with a God bless you and God bless America.
God bless you all.
Thank you.